Hello and good morning and welcome back. I just figured I would, while I'm reading something, make a quick video while I wait for my dad. He's at his appointment right now, and my friend, he's at his appointment right now, so I have a little bit of time, and so I want to touch on two things right now. And we were on the way here and we were talking about the passage in John chapter 5 about the man who was sick for 38 years. And Jesus asks him if he wants to be well. And I've definitely heard sermons on this, and I've heard this story before, but I don't think that I was in a place spiritually to be able to fully comprehend. You know, when you're in different phases in your life where it's like you've heard these stories before and you're like, oh, okay, cool, that sounds good. But when it really comes to applying it to your life, you don't do it because you're like, whatever, you're just not ready. That's how it is how I feel in my own personal life. It's like you're not spiritually ready to apply it. Your eyes have not been open to different things and your ears haven't been open, so you're not receiving it the way that it's meant to be received. Or it's kind of like going in one ear and kind of out the other, and it sounds good, but you're kind of like, thank you for that was encouraging, and then it kind of just gets pushed to the side. And my dad brought it up today, and it just really made me think. That the question is, to me, is like, how long are you willing to live like this, right? So it's like, not all of us were raised in, families that equipped us, I guess, on how to handle different situations when difficulty comes, how to think about it, how to react to it, how to handle it, or just life in general. When just life doesn't have to be a drastic thing, just your outlook on life, Not all of us were raised to know how to handle these situations and different things and how to have a positive outlook. And some people were raised in a very fear-based environment, a punishment-based environment. Some people grew up seeing their families, being dragged down by certain addictions, and not just addictions, but mindsets, where they did not have a positive outlook on life. They're very pessimistic. And because you see that, and because you grew up in that environment, you take that on. Our childhood really affects us, and that's not an excuse, but it really does. It's important to acknowledge that your childhood is going to affect you. They're your earliest stages of your life. It's when your brain is developing and you're literally taught a lot of things, and those things are literally ingrained in your brain. So when you become an adult, and when your eyes become open to different things, having to relearn different things is extremely difficult. And seeing something that is wrong and actually taking an action is extremely difficult, because it's so easy to get caught up in the same way of thinking or the same way of living, especially when you were taught that as a kid. And that's the environment. That is your norm. That is where you're comfortable because that is where you grew up. That is your normal, right? So it's foreign when it's something different. And the question just popped into my mind of like, how long are you willing to live like this, you know? So I'm going to read, it's John chapter 5. It says, I'm reading from the New King James Version today because I don't have my NLT. I wish I had my NLT, but I don't. So this says, after this, there was a feast of the Jews, and Jesus went up to Jerusalem. Now there is in Jerusalem by the sheep gate a pool, which is called in Hebrew Bethesda. I always loved the name Bethesda. I remember when my mom was here, I was like, Mom, why didn't you name me Bethesda? I don't know why. Just Bethesda or Bethsaida. I don't know. Those names are so pretty to me. But anyways, that's the point. But it's called Bethesda, having 5 porches. In these lay a great multitude of sick people, blind, lame, paralyzed, waiting for the moving of the water. For an angel went down at a certain time into the pool and stirred up the water. Then whoever stepped in first, after the stirring of the water, was made well of whatever disease he had. Now a certain man was there who had an infirmity for 38 years. When Jesus saw him laying there and knew that he already had been in that condition a long time, he said to him, "Do you want to be made well?" The sick man answered him, "Sir, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred up. But while I am coming, another steps down before me." Jesus said to him, or that was his quote, and then it says, Jesus said to him, "Rise, take up your mat and walk." And immediately the man was made well, took up his bed and walked. And that day was the Sabbath. So the Jews, okay, so then it goes on to say, the Jews therefore said to him who was cured, "It is the Sabbath. It is not lawful for you to carry your bed." Okay, but I'm going to stop there. Oh, wait, no, actually. We're going to keep going. Hold on. Because this is good. It is a Sabbath. Okay, He answered them, "He who made me well said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" Then they asked him, "Who is this man who said that to you? Take up your bed and walk." But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Jesus had withdrawn, a multitude being in that place. Afterward, Jesus found him in the temple and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, lest a worse thing come upon you." That's terrible and terrifying. Then the man departed and told the Jews that it was Jesus who made him well. For this reason, the Jews persecuted Jesus and sought to kill him, because he had done these things on the Sabbath. But Jesus answered them, "My Father has been working until now, and I have been working." So I want to read the insight as well, but let's just read the insight. Okay, I'm in my Life Application Bible, so let's read the insight. Okay. After 38 years, this man's problem had become a way of life. No one had ever helped him. He had no hope of ever being healed, and no desire to help himself. The man, and I wonder, like, what was his infirmity? It doesn't necessarily, like, what was his illness? Like, was he unable to, it says pick up your mat and walk, so maybe he wasn't able to walk? I don't know. Am I just being ignorant? I don't know. Anyways, the man's situation looked hopeless. But no matter how trapped you feel in your infirmities, God can minister to your deepest needs. Don't let a problem of hardship cause you to lose hope. God may have special work for you to do in spite of your condition or even because of it. Many have Many have ministered effectively to hurting people. These seagulls are I don't even see them and I can hear them. Like, why are you so loud? Why are you running? Anyways, where am I? Many have ministered effectively to hurting people because they have triumphed over their own hurts. And I love that. I think that that's beautiful. But the question is, like I said, how long are you willing to stay in whatever you're in? Now, obviously, if you have an illness, it's like, obviously pray, but God is in control of that. We don't necessarily have control over, whether you're actually literally sick, obviously. But I mean, I'm talking more mentally and spiritually. Because really, and my dad said this, and I've always known this, and I agree with it, we're really no different than this person here. We could say, you've been here for 38 years, you could have found a way to get into that pool, if there's, and it's the truth, if there's a will, there's a way, right? But yeah, how long are you willing to stay trapped in that mindset? How long are you willing to stay trapped in those habits that you have that are not good, that are hurting you, that are not benefiting? How long are you willing to stay in that relationship that is not good, that is not benefiting, that is not the Lord's will for your life, just out of the sake of comfortability, and with your mentality just out of the sake of comfortability, even though it's uncomfortable. It's like uncomfortably comfortable, and I get it, because it takes less work and less effort to just sit and do the same thing over and over and over again, and to never change things, to never switch things up, to never have a different thought process. But in reality, like, you are not going to experience healing, and you're not going to experience freedom if you don't change. And the first step is normally the hardest step, but once you take that first step, it's like, okay, you realize it wasn't that bad. It might have been hard, but it wasn't that bad. And you're more likely, to me, in my case, or in my head, and the way that I think of it, to experience freedom, just taking that first step. I find that in whatever I do, even if it's just getting up and doing what I need to do around the house, I'm really comfortable sitting here. I don't feel like getting up, and it's easier for me to just sit here and whatever. I'll just stay on my phone. I'll just scroll through YouTube Reels or something, or watch a video or something on my phone, whatever. But once I take that step and I get up, I'm like, oh, okay, I can do this. And I literally get everything that I need to get done. I feel so motivated once I start, but when I don't start, I don't feel motivated. When I'm sitting there, I don't feel motivated to get up. But as soon as I get up and I take that first step, I'm like, okay, now I can't stop. I'm like, I'm a cleaning machine. I'm like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, But it's like that first initial step is the hardest part. even if it's just asking for help, even if it's just going for advice, even if it's just talking to God, saying a prayer, you know, even if it's just slowly, you know, adding things into your life, slowly starting to add good habits into your life, and slowly taking out the bad habits in your life. Just take that step. That's it. And yeah, that's my encouragement for today, is to take that step towards healing. And even if you are going through something that is out of your control, you can still, you know, find joy and peace in the midst of that storm. Really, the mind is the battlefield. 100%. I was watching this show. It's called Physical 100. It's on Netflix. And once they got to a certain point of like their own physical strength, they would always be like, it's all mental from here on out. That's it. It's a mental game. And to me, I was like, that's literally what life is. It's a mental game. It is mental. 100%. Of course, it takes the physical body, physical strength. But at the end of the day, if your mental, if your mental, no, like, if your like mental is not there, you're done. You were done, you know? And there was one other thing I wanted to say, but now I literally can't remember it. I don't know. But I'm just encouraging, and this is my own encouragement too, to take that first step. I was sitting today, even just even happened today. I was laying in bed and my friend sent me something, and it was really encouraging. And I'm literally reading it, and as I'm reading it, I'm like, yeah, this isn't for me. In my head, internally, my inner dialogue is saying, this is not for me. This is not what God thinks of me. You know, this is for everybody else. This is how God thinks of you. God views me differently. And I'm literally laying in my bed, I'm reading this, and I'm like, I would love to be able to believe this. I would love to be able to find comfort in this, but I can't, because this is not a message for me. And it's so funny because in that process of thinking those things, I was like, even before my dad even said anything, I was like, how much longer am I going to believe this? Like literally, how much longer? How much longer am I going to keep myself trapped in this box of believing these different things that I know I should not be believing, and I know it's not fruitful, and I know it's not good for me? How much longer will I sit here? And eventually something has to change. If I want to experience change, I need to change. Like, something has to change. If I want to experience change, I can't keep doing the same things that I keep doing. I can't keep thinking the same ways. I can't keep living the same way if I want to experience change. You know what I mean? So yeah, then my dad said that, and once I got myself out of that, I was like, okay. I felt a lot better, and I was like, okay, you know, we're good. But it's so easy to just wallow in that, and I was gonna wallow. Is that the word, wallow? I don't know. But I was going to sulk. There it is. I was going to sulk in that and just take that with me throughout the rest of my day. Why? Why am I doing that to myself? Sorry, there's people around here. But why am I doing that to myself? Why would I do that to myself? You know? So lastly, I just scheduled on Saturday my first appointment with a Christian counselor. Lord knows how it's gonna go. I don't really have any, I don't know, do I have any expectations? I don't know. I want to say I don't. Ooh, okay, hold on, because I have bad experiences with wasps flying in my car, and there's a wasp, and wherever there's a crack, there's a wasp to get in through my car. So, anyways, yeah, but I just, sorry, they're like yelling at each other. Or no, not at each other. She's yelling at him. Anyways, okay. But I just made my first appointment with a Christian therapist, Christian counselor, and I have it this week, Lord willing, as long as everything goes well. I need to call and just make sure that everything's good on my end to continue. But I have a lot of questions and I have a lot of work that needs to be done. But I do have a lot of questions, and I do want like actual biblical advice in my life. I want it to be really like solely based on the Bible, and like, yeah, backed up by biblical evidence, I guess. You know what I mean? You know, because like people can just talk, and I don't want people's opinions. I don't want people's perceptions of God. I want it to be backed up by the Bible. And that's it, period. So that's why I'm seeking biblical counseling. I have been to therapy before with 3 other therapists. None of them were Christians, and honestly, I enjoyed, well, the first one I didn't enjoy as much because just she said some things that I just didn't really like, but the other 2 were great. Oh no. The other 2 were great. There's a lot going on around here. I'm gonna end this soon in a second, but the other 2 were great. But I just want something. I'm at a place in my life where I want it to be Bible based. So I'm praying that the Holy Spirit will speak through her and will use her in many ways, in mighty ways. But with the seagulls, I'm hoping and praying that this will be the step. And I say this to other people, so I'm going to say it to myself too. I'm going to say it here as well. As long as you're breathing, there's still hope. It doesn't matter how you feel. As long as you're breathing, then there is still hope. So even if you feel like you're hopeless, even if you feel like you're helpless, even if you, whatever, God is greater than our feelings. Like it says in 1 John 3 something. Hold on. Is it 3? I know it's 1 John. I wish I had my other Bible because I have it highlighted in here. But it says that even if we feel guilty, that God is greater than our feelings. Oh, here it is. For if our hearts condemn us, God is greater than our heart and knows all things. Anyways, so that's 1 John 3:20. But I encourage to read the whole book of 1 John. I love it. Anyways, but yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, so it doesn't have to look like this whole big